Lauren, thank you so much for joining us from Ryan LLC. We're excited to hear about your internship opportunities. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me today. Again, my name is Lauren Wyatt. I am a campus recruiter with Ryan LLC. The beautiful picture that you see on the screen right now is actually our intern class for summer of 2022. So this could be you for summer 2023, making it to the presentation slides. The first thing that I have on the screen today is one of our core values. And so something that we really like to speak to is one of our values called Generosity Matters. And the heart and hands on the screen are actually a QR code, and it takes you to our campus flyer for one. And really, our campus flyer gives you an entire overview of Ryan, our different practice areas, what our internship program looks like, what our full-time positions look like, so that leaving here today, you have a place to go for all of this information. The other really cool piece to this is anytime that we as Ryan campus recruiters or Ryan employees give a presentation, we are able to allow the students who are listening to the presentation to pick a charity of their choosing, and Ryan will donate on their behalf to that charity. So on page 7 of our campus flyer, again, going to the QR code, you'll have that opportunity. And it's something that we really like to show that we aren't just sticking Generosity Matters up there on our website for our values, but it truly is something that we live by and that we are out in the community trying to make a difference. And you can actually see through some of the pictures here too, we have gone to like the Central Texas Food Bank. I'm out of the Austin, Texas office. Built houses for Habitat for Humanity. We sponsor a local kennel here in Austin for Austin Pets Alive. So just some of the different ways that we try to make a difference. This is what we're going to talk about today, or our agenda. So I will give an introduction of Ryan, a little bit about why Ryan, practice overviews, and then what are the next steps in the recruitment process. So purpose and values, we just talked about Generosity Matters and our willingness to give back to the community. But within that, we also have pursue excellence, wired to win, build trust, and integrity always. I think it's very meaningful for us in building relationships with not only other Ryan employees, but our clients, and making sure that we are doing right by them and ensuring that we are really doing our due diligence and making sure that we're finding our tax savings for these clients, because our whole mission and purpose is to find tax savings for our clients in a number of different areas and different practices. So a little bit about Ryan, this number, so more than 3,600 employees worldwide. We are continuously growing, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. But we have over 4,200 employees at this point, so that number is a little bit outdated. We're also exposed in over 60 countries. So not only are we located here in the United States with a number of different offices and locations, but we have a huge office in India, one of our largest, in Hyderabad, India. We have an office in Australia, a lot of different offices in Europe, Canada, South America. And so we are really trying to make a difference all over the world. We have been trusted in the market for 31 years. We were founded in 1991 by Brent Ryan. And so as you can see, the name correlates, Brent Ryan and Ryan LLC. And we have found more than 2.5 billion in tax savings for our clients, and that is continuously growing. Something that's also important here, especially because I know this is something that accounting majors learn a little bit about. But we are not restricted by the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. And so that's really important to note for our firm. We talked a little bit about growth and the opportunities that we have. So in our 31 years, we really have been in a huge period of growth. We have never had a reduction in the workforce in our entire 31-year history. So this is going back to COVID, that 2020, 2021, when our competitors were doing the opposite and having layoffs. We were still growing in our workforce, our number of acquisitions, our clientele. And at 1 billion in revenue, we will still need to grow this. So we are projected to have that 1 billion in revenue. And so we will need to add in more than 100 new principals and 2,000 new manager, senior consultant, and consultant level positions. A lot of this growth is attributed to things like us having a flexible work schedule. We've had the same leadership in place since the beginning of Ryan. And leadership has been able to help us grow and really keep us up to date with what's been going on in the firm. So I think that's really important as well. So the next slide that I have or am going to put on the screen is going to be talking about something called hero branding. So hero branding is truly wanting to be the number one business in your area. And so that is something that we are really trying to do at Ryan. So a lot of the brands that you see here on the screen, they're really number one in what they do. And so things like Instagram, if you are thinking of a social media app that you post pictures to, probably front of mind is going to be Instagram. If you are thinking of a fast food chain that has overarchingly taken over the hamburger world, you are probably thinking of McDonald's pretty much right off the bat. And I could go so on and on with these examples, but that's really what our goal is. So along with working towards becoming a billion-dollar firm, our goal is to be the leader and name of corporate tax. So our CEO has even gone so far to literally buy the website tax.com. And so whenever you go to tax.com, now you are going to Ryan. So it is really our goal to be number one in our field and in our industry. So whenever you think of corporate tax or business taxes, we want Ryan to be the number one thing in your mind. We also have a lot of awards and recognition. And so we are consistently on the Fortune 100 Best Companies to Work For list. This goes from an entire company level down to like our individual offices and individual states. So again, my examples are typically out of Texas because that's what I have the most experience with, and that's where I'm located. But things like best companies to work for in Texas, consistently we have, so I'm out of Austin, Texas, and consistently in Austin, we have been recognized by the Austin American Statesman for the last 8 years in being a top place to work in Austin. And if you know anything about Austin and just kind of its life and growth, there are a ton of companies coming into the Austin area. So Tesla just moved in, Google is here. We have a huge Apple presence. And so a lot of these big names, and we are still consistently on the top places to work within the area. And I know also our Atlanta office was recently recognized as one of the best places to work in the Atlanta area as well. I'll talk a little bit about the Ryan Foundation. So We actually partner with a lot of these different organizations within the Ryan Foundation to really, again, give back to the community. Like I said at the beginning, Generosity Matters is something that really speaks volumes and something that we want to have well established. And we can say that, yes, we have done X, Y, and Z to really help out in our different areas. So we've partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club of America, the Ronald McDonald House, and a lot more than just what's on the screen here, but really just to give back to our community and really help in any way that we can as well. So these are our office locations. There is a dot in pretty much every single one of our offices. There are a few new ones that are popping up. But as you can see, a lot of them are concentrated in the United States. But we do have, again, like I said, Hyderabad, India is one of our largest offices. We're located in Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Paris, Stockholm, couple of locations in Australia. So we are really a global tax services company. And then I'll also speak a little bit to our client portfolio. So this is something that we are really proud of, and we work to find savings with places like 7-Eleven, Chevron, Tyson, Walmart. I would say there is probably not a client on this list that you haven't heard of or at least heard the name for. And we are also in all different industries. So you can see American Airlines is in there. So we work in the airline industry, the entertainment industry, food industry, oil and gas industry. So we are truly working with all different types of clients in all different areas that we service. We do have over 18 different practice areas that we serve. So as just kind of a general overview, our goal is to help our clients find tax savings. And this is in a number of different areas. So we're going to talk about some of the more well-known and revenue generating areas. But this could include abandoned and unclaimed property, income tax, insurance tax. We work in compliance, credits and incentives, and tons of different areas. These are also just the umbrella for what we cover. So within credits and incentives, there are different areas that we service under that umbrella. Within property tax, there are different areas that we service under that umbrella, transaction tax. So there are tons of different areas that we service, and we have different specialties between our consultants and senior consultants. So property tax is one of our biggest growing practices at the firm. And this is also one of our top revenue generating teams. So property tax at a high level overview. So we're working with large corporations, Fortune 500 companies. So whenever a company is either having a retail center, or maybe they have housing, or they have land that they've purchased, there's a property tax that's accumulated with that purchase for where their storefront is or where their retail shop is. And so we go in and we see where we can find them tax savings on the property tax side of things. This could be either in what's called a complex or a commercial setting. So one of the biggest, or actually, let me tell you, so complex is going to be more so of the tangible items that you see. So if you were to take a building, so let's say Target is one of our clients, Home Depot is one of our clients. If you were to take a Home Depot and flip that building upside down, everything that falls out of that building is what's called property tax complex. And so things like the desks, the shelving units, the flooring, the windows, the doors, all of that is going to be your complex. So anything that is not the structure itself. Property tax commercial is going to be the opposite of that. So property tax commercial, you are actually looking at the tax savings for the building or the land. And so the retail, the data centers, the housing, the land for purchase, all of those different things. So a really cool story that we have with our property tax practice area. We had a client in Louisiana, and a really big piece of our job is working with the clients, getting to know their business and getting to know their property. So we go out to client visits pretty frequently so that we can get a good understanding of how their business works and what it looks like. So one of our consultants was out on a client visit in Louisiana and looking at their property, just basically doing a site inspection. So something that our consultant discovered was the owner of the property is raising and farming alligators and their eggs on that property. So this is a little bit of a shock to the consultant, but what that means is for that property and for their business, there's an ag exemption associated with that. And so just because of that like little ag exemption, they are able to find like additional savings for that client's property taxes. And so that's just kind of a cool way of thinking outside of the box to figure out a little bit extra savings for a client. Transaction tax is another huge practice area that we have, and we have the largest transaction tax practice in North America. And really, this was one of the practices that Ryan was founded upon. So full story. So transaction tax is really every time a company makes a transaction, there is a tax associated with that transaction. So a lot of what our consultants are doing is they are reading invoices, reading transactions, purchases to see where they can find them savings within those purchases and transactions. Cool story with this one is you're probably wondering why there is a Snickers picture on the screen, but Snickers again is one of our clients, and we had a consultant that was out on a site visit looking at the manufacturing plant for Snickers bars. And if you have ever eaten one, hopefully everybody has. If you flip over the chocolate bar and look at the bottom of it, there is a chevron print on the bottom of a Snickers bar. And that is actually not there by design. So there is a tax law that states if a product during creation is altered in any way, there are tax exemptions for that product or piece of equipment. And so what our consultant noticed is once the Snickers bar was dipped in chocolate, it was put on a conveyor belt, and that conveyor belt was what was causing that chevron print on the bottom of the Snickers bar. And so just basically by knowing the tax law, he was able to save Snickers some tax savings because of that conveyor belt and that alteration of the Snickers bar. So it's always a cool story. Severance tax is the last tax practice that I will go into, but again, this is one of our largest groups. Typically, our severance tax group is located out of our Houston, Texas office, but this is our oil and gas group. So really to this, you have to have an understanding of the word severance. So whenever oil and gas are severed from the earth, there is a tax that's accrued from that severance. So this is a very, very project-based group. So this could be projects from 6 to 12 months or very, very long-term projects. So what our consultants are doing is they are really going in and understanding project plans, schematics, going to job sites to see where they can find these savings. These are also very high value clients. And so you are working with pretty big numbers and millions and billions in tax savings. And so I think it's one of the cooler pieces of the practice, because as someone coming directly out of college, being able to work with those types of numbers is pretty huge. So what we're going to talk about next, and kind of to round out the presentation, is what the recruitment process looks like and different growth opportunities. So what does it look like to receive an internship or go into a full-time position at Ryan? So we do have a pretty outlined trajectory of what it's going to look like for growth. So we want to help our consultants, senior consultants, really advance in their career. And also we want to retain good employees. And so what we have is an outlined consultant to senior consultant to manager, manager to senior manager to director, and kind of so on. And so the principals are going to be the leaders over their individual practice area, and all the way down to like our interns. With that, we also know that, again, we want to retain good employees. And so we have what's called Ryan Explore. And Ryan Explore allows people to get out of their own practice area and really just kind of dive into other areas. So let's say you love Ryan, love working here, love the work culture, the people that you work with, but maybe you found out that income tax really isn't the area that you want to work in, but you still enjoy that type of work and enjoy the company. We have opportunities for you to explore other practice areas. So go from property tax to severance tax, or transaction tax to credits and incentives, and really figure out what works best for you and what you truly enjoy doing. Some other opportunities. So I talked a little bit about this earlier, but we have recognition as a great place to work. And these are all surveys based on current and previous employees. And so it's people who have really worked here, done the work, lived and breathed Ryan, who are giving this feedback for all of these recognition pieces. We also have a fantastic rewards and compensation and benefits program. We're pretty competitive in the market, and so I think that kind of speaks volumes as well. We have a flexible work environment, so we actually don't always work the traditional Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We have the ability to flex those hours. So we have a few consultants in our Houston office that, if you know anything about Houston, large city, tons of traffic. So they just truly want to miss traffic. And so they work 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. instead of the normal 8 to 5, just so that they're not sitting in Houston traffic for an hour each way, even if they only live 10 minutes from the Houston office. So you can do that flex of hours. We also have unlimited paid time off, and so I think that's a huge benefit for a lot of our employees. We also have a large office footprint, so 60 offices in North America and abroad, and so different relocation opportunities. We had a campus recruiter that started out in our Dallas office, but her family's job took them to Denver. And so she was able to move from the Dallas office to Denver, Colorado, and still stay with Ryan and in the same position that she currently works. So let's talk a little bit about our full-time consultant opportunities. So we truly hire any business major. So we are looking at specifically accounting, finance, real estate, and economics majors, but we hire business admin majors. We hire management information system majors. It really depends on the practice area and what that practice or team is doing. Coming directly out of college, we want to see an overall 3.0 GPA and an accounting GPA of 3.25. Again, if you're not an accounting major, there are some practice areas that you can substitute that accounting GPA for, like a real estate GPA, economics GPA, or just a major specific GPA. And then we do have openings truly all over the United States for full-time consultant positions. I know we have 2 current openings in Atlanta for property tax and 1 opening in Atlanta for transaction tax. So we'll talk a little bit about the internship program as well. So this is a paid internship, typically runs from, it's a 9-week program running from May 30th through August 4th this year. One of the cool things about our internship is we do have an internship retreat that kicks off the entire internship program, and we fly all of our interns out to our headquartered location in Dallas, Texas, where you'll get to network with not only your other interns and your direct manager, but you'll get exposed to leadership and get to network with our leadership team. So our COO, our CEO, and really get to meet and learn about the different opportunities, how people got to Ryan, how they've become successful in their position. You'll also have a case study that you'll complete. So again, like I was talking about earlier, we want you to find your right place. And so if this isn't the practice area that you're currently interning with, you'll have the opportunity to get to know another practice area so that you can really find that right place. And then really full-time opportunities. So our goal of the internship program is for us to make full-time offers to our interns after they graduate. And so we want them to come and intern with us and convert them to full-time employees. Currently, the internship program, we have 101 interns that we hire for the summer in 30 different offices and 24 different practice areas. And this is actually a picture from our internship retreat last year with one of our intern groups. And then just a look at our internship program history. So we started out with 23 interns, and we have grown by more than 77% since then. So 2017 to 2023, 23 interns over to 101 interns. Also growing in the number of office locations and the number of practices. And then lastly, we have our full-time internship requirements. So very similar to our full-time consultant requirements. So 3.0 overall GPA, accounting GPA of 3.25. We are currently still hiring 2 interns for our Atlanta office, 1 in property tax and 1 in what's called our innovation lab, which is more of our computer science management information systems major. But we definitely do still have a few openings in Atlanta, and all over the United States we'll have a few openings. But I think that is all I have for you guys. Any questions that I can help you with?
Okay, so the first question I have, like, when you get an internship with Ryan, like, what is the training process, or does it all depend on what area you're in? Like, for example, if I was to go into property tax, how would that work?
So it does depend on the area, but for most of them, it'll kick off with the internship retreat. And at the retreat, you will have exposure to your practice as well as other practices. Directly upon ending the internship retreat, you go into kind of a boot camp type of situation where it's really a week long of training of your specific practice area. And so kind of getting you up to speed, let's say if this was property tax, getting you up to speed on your team, what projects your team is working on, property tax as a whole, because it's not something that we have the expectation, because this is such a niche field, that our interns are coming in with 100% of the knowledge base of property tax or transaction tax. So it's something that we will absolutely do the training for. And you'll have a lot of people that are really there to support you during your internship. So one of those is going to be the recruiter who hires you. So us as campus recruiters, we will do check-ins throughout the internship to say, okay, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you've connected with your team? Do you feel like you are fully integrated into the team, working on projects that you're comfortable with? Too much work, too little work, communication there. So just doing those like general check-ins in case we can just help with anything. You'll also have your consultants and senior consultants that are on your team, and they are going to be kind of your project people. So you'll be working on projects with them. And so they'll be your go-to for like those job specific questions and really those small training pieces. And then you'll also have your hiring manager, who is also over the consultants and senior consultants on the team, so that you have that guidance and kind of that higher level person.
Oh, I have another question. Okay, so my situation is I'm a junior and I'm a accounting major, of course, and I'm just like really starting like getting into my major. Right now, I'm taking intermediate financial accounting and cost accounting. Will they still take me under consideration? But I do have like an overall GPA of like a 3.28.
Yep. So what we really want to see is a 3.25 accounting GPA after you've graduated. So we can substitute that out, especially in like property tax and some of our other tax practices. We can substitute that out for, let's say you've taken 2 economics courses. We want to see 6 hours of accounting, 6 hours of economics, 6 hours of real estate, so 6 hours of finance, one of those options. So you can really kind of manipulate that a little bit to match what classes that you've taken.
I have a couple questions too. Pay for the internships, does that also vary depending on maybe practice or location or not?
So it varies by a couple of things. So GPA plays a factor into it. So 3.0 and above is all going to be the same GPA. We do hire students that are below 3.0, but that will start affecting your pay. And then location plays a factor into it. So little bit higher cost of living in places like New York and Los Angeles than like here in Austin, where I am, in San Antonio. So that'll go into it as well. And then I'll also say your what is it called? Not level, not grade, but freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that plays classification. That plays a factor into it as well. So a graduate student, we do hire master's level students. They might make a little bit more than, let's say, a sophomore.
Okay, great. And as far as applying for these, is there a preferred way, an easier way? Because sometimes with these sessions, you know, there might be like an email, like you could always email if you're interested, or is there a preferred way like for them to reach out about these opportunities?
So our website is really the best resource. So ryan.com/careers, but Handshake is also going to be fantastic. Handshake will have all of our open positions, both consultant and full-time. And those Handshake postings will take you to the direct link for that exact position that you're looking into. But also, students are more than welcome to email me. It is my first name, period, last name @ryan.com. So Lauren, period, Wyatt @ryan.com. And email me your resume. And so based on your resume, I can usually get a good idea of what the best fit is going to be for you. And it also helps to give me a little bit of information of like where you would like to be either upon graduation or for an internship position. But really that, and if you have a specific practice area that you are interested in, we can also kind of match based on that. But if you are really just interested in Ryan and tax and consulting, emailing me your resume is an easy way to just say, okay, here are the positions that we have open that I think would be a good fit based on your experience and skills.
And Taylor, you might be thinking of more too, but I actually have a couple. Well, one thing I want to say, just because we're recording this, if anybody happens to watch this who wasn't able to join, it is Lauren with an E, and Wyatt is spelled W-Y-A-T-T.
Correct. So LAUREN period WYATT at Ryan.com.
Great. And I know that I think I saw for the Innovation Lab one, the deadline was March 3rd on Handshake. Is that roughly for the summer ones? Does the deadline tend to be early March for those? Is there kind of and they normally fall around the same timeline?
We really want to have all of our positions filled by April 1st. And so that's more, I would say, of the deadline that we would be looking at. We have, like I said, one internship position left in the Innovation Lab in Atlanta right now. And so once we get closer to March 1st, if we still haven't filled that position, I'll go in and refresh it on Handshake.
Gotcha. And if you did mention this, I apologize if I didn't hear it, but the internships is there flexibility with them being outside of summer? Like if a student, because summer is usually the most convenient, and some places only do summer ones, which is perfectly fine. But other places are like, no, there's options for them to do spring or fall too. But yeah, so I was curious about that.
So we have different options. So we have interns that will come and intern with us for the summer and then have flexibility to continue on through the fall. And really for a fall position, that's the only pathway, is starting out in the summer and continuing through the fall and having kind of a part-time position with us for the fall semester. But we do have spring internships. The hard piece here is they are in very select locations, and I don't think Atlanta is going to be one of those. So Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas are going to be the big ones for our spring interns.
Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
The next question I have, like over the summer, I'm looking at taking classes, but for at the moment, I only have one. And apparently in my field, the stuff I still have to take is like only offer like fall, spring.
Okay.
So, like how would the schedule work around like my one class that I have for right now?
So do you know already what like the time of the class would be?
It would start in July, sometime in July.
So second session? Is it a second session class, Tolera?
I think it's, no, take that back. May. It will start in May, sometime in May.
And then are you in person for that class, say like?
It'll be completely online.
So really, as long as you can balance both the online course plus working pretty much a full-time internship, you're more than welcome to do so. And we have students that definitely do it, but it is on a student-to-student basis, saying, okay, yes, I can manage my time and I can take on all of these responsibilities at the same time. So truly, it's just up to your discretion. But good questions.
Yeah, because your online ones are probably asynchronous as far as like it's just turning in stuff so you're not having like online lectures certain time every week. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, good.
Yeah, and so as long as you can balance that schedule, we do even have students that take like synchronous courses, and so they'll either have those like a really late afternoon or evening class and just still come and work during their time period. And it's also something that you can work with your manager and flex those hours. So let's say you took like an 8 I want to say summer classes are a little bit longer than just your 50 minutes. So like an 8 to 10 course, maybe flex your hours 10 to 7 and do something like that.
Did you start out as an intern at Ryan?
So I did not. I am actually not in the tax field. So I am in more of the human resources side of things. So I work in campus recruiting. So I am not in a practice area. I am in the people group and do things like this, attend career fairs, talk with students, do the recruitment side of things. And unfortunately, we don't have intern positions in like those areas. It's just like in our business tax.
Yeah. But no, HR, that's why HR can be a very good field to get into, because most places have an HR department pretty much. So a lot of you can move around pretty much any kind of industry if it's HR.
Correct. I will say I did do internships just in kind of some different fields. So it was really cool. Yeah. Anything else?
Okay, so I'm interested in the property tax in Atlanta. So what I'm gonna do between the end of this week and the end of next week, I'm gonna shoot you my resume.
That sounds good.
Okay.
And I can email you over like the direct link to the position. And most likely what'll happen from there is you and I would get on a phone call and we would just talk through your resume, your skills, your experience. And then I would pass your resume along to the hiring team, and then you would do an interview with the hiring team. Okay.
Do you have any tips on how to go into the interview?
Say that again. Sorry, my Siri watch decided that it was going to talk to me while you were talking.
I said, do you have any tips on how to go into that interview?
So what I would say is for your interview, and this is more so in general, for your interview with a recruiter, it's going to be more of your interpersonal skills, communication skills, and that side of things. Whenever you're going into the interview with the team, for the most part, that's going to be more so talking about your technical skills, your interests, your goals, and what the future is going to look like. And so you do have to prepare in two really different ways, but just knowing that going in is usually a little bit helpful. So being able to talk through your resume and your experiences is really something that we want to hear about, and just knowing what your previous experience looked like, what you learned from those experiences or gained, took away. Even if this isn't like professional work experience, leadership in your college experience, or leadership in the classroom, projects that you were able to work on.
Well, I know Talera some of that stuff. She's part of our leadership program, so I know that. But Talera, I know you probably know this, but if you ever want to brush up on those interview skills, you can always make a mock interview appointment with anybody in our office too. I figured you knew that, but figured I'd mention it. Awesome. Yeah, well, you might have more questions there. I'm gonna go ahead and just stop the recording. That doesn't mean I'm leaving the room though right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and just stop it.
I actually don't. You took